And feel that there's some association involving certain groups here in Baton Rouge, but it's nothing that
Fredo Bang's right-hand man, the CEO of the was just shot and killed in broad daylight outside a gym in Baton Rouge. Two masked men pulled up on him while he was getting a workout in and let off multiple shots, ending his life right there in the parking lot. His name was Wes Clark. The streets knew him as Cleles 5, and right now the Baton Rouge Police Department is looking into possible ties to different groups in the city, and the name that keeps echoing in Baton Rouge in this beef in this long history is NBA YoungBoy. This all went down April 29, 2026, and the internet. Already in a frenzy, TBG just lost their CEO, Fredo Bang, just lost one of his closest brothers, and now the whole culture is asking the same question: who pulled up on Clay 5? Who sent those two masked men to that gym? Because if you know anything about the history between TBG and NBA YoungBoy's camp, you already see where fingers are pointing. Y'all need to hear this from the start to really grasp how heavy this situation is. Let me break it down for you. Fam Wes Clark, known in the streets and music scene as Cleles 5, was 46 years old at the time of his death, the CEO of the TBG, Top Boy Gorilla, one of the most powerful rap collectives to ever come out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And when I say CEO, I'm not throwing that word around lightly. I'm talking about the man who built the system, the one who kept everything running, kept the deals flowing, and kept the artists locked in. That was originally founded by Lil Ivy Smith, but Clay 5 was the engine behind it all. He was the bridge between the streets and the music industry. Fredo Bang himself confirmed that in a statement to a news just hours after the killing. He said Wes was one of the most genuine people you'll ever meet. He would do anything for the people he loved. He helped countless people around Baton Rouge, single mothers, promoters, radio, anybody who needed him. He showed up without him. Me and G Money's music and several other artists wouldn't have allowed us, wouldn't have gone as far as it did. Let that really sink, and Fredo Bang is straight up crediting this man for the success of his own career and the legacy of G Money's music. That's not just business, that's family. That's a foundation, and he was just at the gym working out, minding his own business at 12:15 in the afternoon in the parking lot of Gang God Fitness on Woodrest Drive right off Greenwell Springs Road in Baton Rouge. Two masked men walked up on him and opened fire multiple shots. They killed him right there on the spot, then jumped into a vehicle and disappeared. The Baton Rouge Police Department confirmed it right away. This was targeted. The victim was outside working out. Two suspects approached and fired multiple times, killing him at the scene. This wasn't random. This wasn't coincidence. This was a hit straight up, and right now, no arrests, no publicly identified suspects.
It was a targeted attack. The victim was out there working out, and as he was working out, we know those two suspects walked up and fired upon the victim multiple times, thus killing him at the scene. So we don't have much at this particular time, so we rely heavily on the community and those who know what happened or have an idea as to what happened to give us a call so we can follow up on the information that they give.
But here's what the Burr PD Public Information Officer Lieutenant Legend McNeely did say. And you need to listen closely to this part. We see and feel that there is some association involving certain groups here in Baton Rouge, but it's nothing we can openly say at this time because it is an ongoing investigation.
We see and feel that there's some association involving certain groups here in Baton Rouge, but it's nothing that we can openly say at this particular time because it is an ongoing investigation.
Certain groups in Baton Rouge. Now, let's be real. What groups have been going at each other in this city for nearly a decade? The NBA YoungBoy's camp, and we're about to connect every single dot to understand how we got here. We got to go all the way back to 2017 because this didn't start with a diss track or some slick Instagram caption. This started personal. This started in the streets of Baton Rouge where these names grew up. NBA YoungBoy, real name Kentrell Deshaun Galden, built the Never Broke Again. Collective NBA on the other side, you had TBG Top Boy Gorilla with Fredo Bang G Money. Lit Yoshi, and more. These weren't just rival rap crews. Investigators and law enforcement would later label them as rival gangs. Now G Money, real name Garrett Burton, was the star of the BG before his life was cut short. The talent was undeniable. Tracks like Jack, Who with Fredo Bang, The Purge, and especially another up, a direct aggressive diss aimed right at NBA YoungBoy. But here's the part: a lot of people don't talk about the roots of this beef go deeper than music. It's widely reported that Fredo Bang G Money's cousin was involved with NBA YoungBoy's sister. That kind of personal tension lit the spark for what turned into a years-long war. The diss records escalated, the social media shots escalated, And then on September 10, 2017, everything changed. It stopped being about music. G Money, just 22 years old, was shot and killed in a Baton Rouge parking lot. Just like that, gone. And this is where things take a wild turn.
Police are looking into a deadly shooting that claimed the life of a local rapper. Police say someone shot and killed 22-year-old Garrett Burton on Dallas Street around 1:20 last night. Burton performed under the name G Money. Right now, police have not named any suspects or motive. If you can help police or have any tips, you can report them anonymously to Crime Stoppers. That number 344-STOP. And remember, your tip could lead to a cash reward.
Baton Rouge police dug deep into the case and ended up arresting a man named DeMarcus Field, someone reportedly tied to NBA YoungBoy's camp.
Tonight to the arrest of this man, DeAndre Fields. Baton Rouge police say they arrested him years after the shooting death of a local rapper, Garrett Burton. Back in 2017, Burton went by the name of G Money. He was found shot to death in the parking lot on Dallas Drive there. Police arrested DeAndre Fields for second-degree murder.
Fields was hit with a second-degree murder charge, but after going through trial, he was found not guilty of the case. Still officially unsolved on paper, G Money's murder remains open, but in the streets, everybody already had their own answers. They knew the city knew. And from that moment, the verdict dropped. The tension between these two camps didn't just stay heated. It went nuclear. This right here is the root of Fredo. Everything lock in on G Money's name, because from 2017 onward, every shooting, every arrest, every loss traces back to that parking lot. After G Money's death, Fredo Bangs stepped up as the face of this anymore. It was personal on a whole different level. His cousin was gone, his people were targets, and he wasn't backing down. The war between the G and NBA played out everywhere at once in music, on social media, and out in the streets. Fredo Bang, to his credit, kept pushing music while everything else around him stayed tense. But by 2020, things took a sharp turn. Fredo started publicly calling NBA YoungBoy his assassino, more in a clout trolling type way. YoungBoy, he wasn't feeling that at all. What looked like light trolling quickly turned into a long-running back and forth that pulled in everyone connected to both sides. Fredo even went as far as claiming he had relations with YoungBoy's baby mama Jania, and reportedly showed receipts. You already know YoungBoy wasn't about to let that slide. The disrespect hit a whole new level. Fans on both sides went wild, and behind the scenes, things in the streets were heating up even more than what the internet could see. But here's the part people don't always catch. This wasn't just Fredo and YoungBoy trading shots in songs. Their crews were really clashing in the streets of Baton Rouge and beyond. This wasn't rap beef. This was real life. React first, deal with it later type energy. And it didn't stop there. In May 2019, the Baton Rouge tension followed them all the way to Miami, Florida, and ended in tragedy involving someone who had nothing to do with either side. NBA YoungBoy was in Miami, performing at Rolling Loud, one of the biggest hip-hop festivals out there. He was outside the Trump International Beach Resort in Sunny Isles Beach with his crew and his girlfriend. Then out of nowhere, shooters in a passing Cadillac Escalade opened fire on YoungBoy and his team. His girlfriend got hit in the shoulder. 3 innocent bystanders were struck, and when legally armed members of YoungBoy's entourage fired back, one of those bullets ended up killing
43-year-old Mohammed Dradi, shot dead in Sunny Isles Beach. An employee of Hertz rental car hit by a stray bullet as he sat in his van in a parking lot along Collins Avenue Sunday afternoon.
I heard the gunshots. Everybody went to the floor. I see people running. They were just running nowhere.
The bullets flew just outside the Trump International Beach Resort, also piercing this black Suburban witnesses say was carrying rapper NBA YoungBoy.
I'm an NBA YoungBoy in the building.
He didn't hit him. He hit the girl he was with.
Police say 19-year-old Kaylin Marie Long was shot inside that Suburban, but is expected to be okay. A 5-year-old boy across the street was also grazed by a bullet.
That Edwards they're referring to is Lit Yoshi, real name Miyoshi Edwards Fredo Bangs. Associate and a TBG member, Lit Yoshi later pleaded guilty to aggravated assault with a firearm connected to that 2019 situation, and also to attempted first-degree murder tied to a July 4th, 2020 shooting. Right now he's serving 15 years in federal prison. Fredo Bang himself got arrested in Miami in 2021, booked for a parole violation after police found guns inside his home and a stolen vehicle parked outside. But what really shocked people is what came next. Even with all this, the shootings, arrests, and attention, neither the nor NBA YoungBoy's camp slowed down. The violence in Baton Rouge kept climbing, and the city watched as 2 rap crews continued tearing into each other and impacting everyone around them. Now this is where people really started putting pieces together. While the Wazoo was losing members to To prison time and gun violence, NBA YoungBoy somehow kept slipping through legal trouble like he had 9 lives. Then, in September 2020, YoungBoy, along with 16 other members of NBA and BBG Bottom Boy, Guerrilla and Allied crew, was arrested in Baton Rouge during a video shoot.
NBA YoungBoy arrested in 2020 during a music video shoot in Baton Rouge.
They were caught with guns, drugs, $47 zero in cash, and a $300 zero cashier's check. Federal charges came right after he got picked up again in Los Angeles in 2021 by federal agents from March to October 2021. He sat behind bars. Then he was released on bond and put on house arrest from October 2021. All the way to March 2024. For over 3 years, this man was basically locked in, and the streets were still moving in his name. Then in 2023, he got hit with 63 drug-related charges.
NBA YoungBoy, known as Kentrell Galden, who has been under house arrest here in Utah and Weber County, pending federal trial. He was actually arrested here in Utah by the Cache County Sheriff's Office yesterday, suspected of running a large-scale prescription fraud ring. He's been charged with 63 counts.
He pleaded guilty in November 2024. The sentence: 23 months in prison plus 60 months on probation. Kentrell Galden, known to the world as NBA YoungBoy, now staring down nearly 2 years in federal prison, and in April 2025, just 1 year before Cleles 5 was killed, NBA YoungBoy was officially released on probation. He came right back outside, announced his Make America Slime Again tour, $500 zero tickets, $70 million gross, like nothing ever slowed him down. The man stepped out of federal custody and instantly reclaimed his spot as one of the biggest names in the game. But the streets, they never paused the history, still active in the bodies. Oh, they didn't stop either. Then in December 2025, a YouTuber named Trap Lore Ross dropped a nearly 2-hour breakdown claiming he tracked 19 people allegedly connected to feuds tied to NBA YoungBoy's camp, pulling info from Reddit threads, lyrics, and court documents. The names he mentioned included Boulevard, Quick, G Money, Haran Bang, True Bleedy to Sherwood, Extendo, and several others. Now, to be clear, none of that has been proven in court. No charges, no convictions tying YoungBoy directly to those deaths. But the internet went into overdrive, and people started asking the same question they've had for years. How does one person's circle end up surrounded by this much violence? And now, fam, now we land on April 29th, 2026, yesterday, 12:15 p.m., broad daylight game, God Fitness, Gym, Greenwell Springs Road, Baton Rouge, Wes Clark, Cleles 5 outside, either finishing a workout or just getting started. It doesn't even matter because 2 masked men pulled up and fired multiple shots into him. He died right there on the scene. They hopped into a waiting car and vanished. This wasn't random. This wasn't sloppy. This was clean, coordinated, and executed like a professional hit. 2 masked shooters, a getaway vehicle, a clearly targeted victim, middle of the afternoon at a public gym. The victim, 46 years old, CEO of the man Fredo Bang, says built his career and kept G-Money's legacy alive, and within hours the hip-hop world started asking the same questions. Law enforcement is now asking because you can't separate this from the past. You can't look at Wes Clark's death without seeing the long war between the NBA YoungBoy's camp. Baton Rouge police confirmed it. Targeted attack, 2 masked suspects, getaway car, no arrests, no names released. But they did say something important, and you need to catch this. They said they see and feel there's an association involving certain groups in Baton Rouge, certain groups. They didn't name them, but come on, you already know. Now, does that mean NBA YoungBoy personally called this hit? No, that's not what's being said. What is being said is investigators are looking at group connections, meaning they're examining whether this ties back to the long-standing BGV's NBA feud. That's been boiling since 2017, and with YoungBoy currently on federal probation, that kind of investigation, it just got serious for everybody around him. But let's be real for a second. The streets have been talking about this pattern for years, and when you line it up, it's hard to ignore. Let me break it down clean. 2017. G-Money, Fredo Bang's cousin and the biggest star, is killed. An associate tied to NBA YoungBoy gets arrested, then acquitted. Case still unsolved. 2018. An NBA associate known as D-Dog is shot and killed after reportedly pulling up in Fredo Bang's neighborhood making threats. The war escalates. 2019. The Miami Rolling Loud shooting. YoungBoy targeted innocent bystander Mohammed Draddy killed. The TBG members Lit Yoshi and Fredo Bang investigated and later arrested 2020 multiple shootings in Baton Rouge tied to the same feud. Lit Yoshi charged with attempted murder on several counts, YoungBoy, and 16 others arrested during a video shoot. 2021 Fredo Bang arrested in Miami. Lit Yoshi's bond revoked. The FBI steps in on the Resurface-related investigations. Federal pressure everywhere. 2022 shock moment. NBA YoungBoy and Fredo Bang publicly squashed the beef at a Christmas toy drive on December 24th. For a second, it looked like the war might actually be over. Baton Rouge finally gets a chance to breathe. 2025 YoungBoy comes home, back on probation, back to music, back on tour. The peace seems to hold. April 29, 2026, Cleles 5 CEO of TBG and Fredo Bang's closest business partner is gunned down in broad daylight by two masked shooters in Baton Rouge. You tell me if that piece really held, fam. The streets are reading this loud and clear. But here's the part that makes this even heavier. The reason people believe the war was over goes back to that Christmas Eve 2022 toy drive that was supposed to be the turning point. NBA YoungBoy and Fredo Bang 2 of Baton Rouge's biggest names coming together for the community over 10 toys, bikes, coats, and shoes handed out to kids. Fredo showed up in person. YoungBoy didn't physically attend, but was reportedly involved behind the scenes. The image looked perfect. The media ran with it. Former enemies turning positive, giving back, ending the beef. Baton Rouge healing. Some people like Tony Yayo even suggested YoungBoy's reported $100 million Motown deal pushed him to step away from the beef and focus on business, because at that level you've got way too much to lose, and honestly it made sense when that kind of money is on the table. The last thing you want is your name tied to more violence. But here's the reality of street beef. It doesn't end with handshakes, and it definitely doesn't end with toy drives. The people under these artists, the ones who lost friends, cousins, brothers, they don't just forget. The pain doesn't disappear. The street level grudges, they stay alive. And when those masked men walked up on Cleles 5 outside that gym on Greenwell Springs Road, whatever peace people thought existed, it vanished instantly. Fredo Bang said it himself in his tribute, without him, me and G Money's music would have never reached the level. It did. He mentioned G Money in the same breath for a reason, because for the everything circles back to G Money, the cousin who was killed, the case that never got solved, the wound that never closed. Now here's the real talk about what this means for Kentrell Gaulden. Right now he's on federal probation, and let's be clear, that doesn't mean freedom in the normal sense that comes with strict conditions, constant monitoring, and zero room for mistakes. If investigators find any angle, any evidence tying people in his camp to the murder of Wes Clark, the feds don't just stop at the shooter, they zoom out. They analyze the structure. They look at affiliations. They look at who benefits. That's how RICO cases are built. Now keep this in mind. Nobody has charged NBA YoungBoy in connection with this murder. No arrests, no accusations. The investigation is literally just 1 day old, as of May 1st, 2026. But when Baton Rouge law enforcement publicly says they see associations involving certain groups tied to an execution-style killing of a major, the entire NBA circle is now under intense scrutiny, and the timing couldn't be worse. YoungBoy just wrapped a $70 million tour. He's in what looks like the biggest run of his career. He's signed to Motown albums in motion, the culture fully locked in on him. And now a fresh murder tied to a decade-long feud lands right as supposed to be focused on music. The timing is what it is, the history is what it is, and the streets, they're connecting dots whether anything gets confirmed or not. Now peep this detail in Fredo Bang's statement, because it says a lot about how TBG is taking this and what could come next. He said Clee helped countless people around Baton Rouge, single mothers, promoters, radio, anybody who needed him. He showed up. That's grief. That's real pain. But then he added, without me and G Money's music wouldn't have gone as far. He brought up G Money again. That's not random. That's intentional. That's Fredo basically telling you without saying it outright that in his mind, these two losses are tied together, that the war that started in 2017 never really ended. It just took rate. Another major figure that's a grieving man connecting past to present. And if you understand street politics even a little, you know that mix of pain and history can lead to something serious. So now the question isn't just who killed Cleles 5. The bigger question is what happens next in a city where every retaliation seems to lead to another funeral. Let's zoom out for a second, because this conversation needs to happen honestly. Baton Rouge has given hip-hop some serious talent. Boosie Badazz, Webby, Kevin Gates, NBA YoungBoy, Fredo Bang, G Money. Real artistry came out of that city, but at the same time there's a street cycle that keeps taking that same talent down. The TBG vs NBA conflict alone since 2017 has led to multiple deaths, federal cases, millions spent on legal battles, a 15-year sentence for Lit Yoshi, and now the killing of a 46-year-old CEO outside a gym. And let's keep it real, the people dying in this aren't just names online. They're real individuals. Wes Clark helped people in Baton Rouge. He supported artists. He was 46 years old at the gym living his life, and two masked men ended that over something rooted in a rap beef that people thought ended at a Christmas toy drive in 2022. Trap Lore Ross dropped a 2-hour breakdown in December 2025, claiming 19 people have died connected to feuds tied to NBA YoungBoy's orbit. Whether you believe every detail or not, the fact that people watched it and couldn't easily dismiss says something. The level of violence tied to this corner of hip-hop isn't normal, and the culture has to acknowledge that because the streets don't care about chart numbers, they don't care about Motown deals, tour revenue, or Billboard stats. The streets operate on a different system, and right now that system is reacting to what happened on Woodruff Drive in Baton Rouge on April 29th, calculating what comes next. As of now, no arrests, no suspects named. The Baton Rouge Police Department is still investigating. The East Baton Rouge Parish coroner confirmed the victim, Wes Clark, 46, two masked shooters, a getaway car, a targeted hit in broad daylight outside a public gym. Fredo Bang is mourning his CEO. His partner, the man who helped build the Cleles 5, is gone, and the same investigation happening right now will inevitably circle back to the one conflict that has defined Baton Rouge's rap scene since 2017, the versus NBA YoungBoy's camp. Is YoungBoy responsible? That's not for speculation, that's for investigators to determine. What we do know is this beef has been violent, deadly, and ongoing long before most people even knew these names. What we know is law enforcement openly mentioned group associations tied to this murder the same day it happened. What we know is the so-called peace in 2022 didn't stop two masked men from pulling up and taking a life in 2026. And what we know is NBA YoungBoy on federal probation in the middle of his biggest career run is now right at the center of all this, whether he wants to be or not. The investigation is open. Questions are louder than the answers, and Baton Rouge is holding its breath again, waiting to see if this leads to justice or more loss. Drop your thoughts below. What do you think really went down? Who sent those masked men? Because the streets are already talking, and we'll be right here breaking it all down as more comes out. Stay locked in. Stay safe and rest in peace to Wes Clark. Cleles 5 gone.